Howdy folks, I'm doing some experiments here with an oxygen sensor. This came out of a BMW motoring car. Now, this is my first time experimenting with these, but I found that if I power it with 12 volts into the heater circuit and then put my meter, which is set up for 1 volt full deflection, I can test this device by squirting a bit of butane towards the sensor. See how the meter's gone up? If I stop the butane, the meter goes back down again. So when I squirt the butane onto it, it's obviously deflecting oxygen away from the sensor. Do it again, and there's the meter reading. Blow on it. Blows the gas away, put some more gas on, goes back up. So what I'm hoping is that I can arrange it into this muffler. Hey sweetie, just a moment boys and girls. Need to go and stick a Weet-Bix in my ass. There you go, girl. Alright, this is the muffler off the Gas-O-Gen. I'll stand it up, you can see it better. This end goes to the engine. This end goes out to the fuel dryer. This coil of copper pipe on here is an experiment for water heating. It actually works really well. You put the cold water in and steam comes jetting out the other end. So I figure on using that for water purification. So the next step, once I just get this into place, it's kind of hard working with one hand here. Here's the little mount I've made up for it, for the oxygen sensor. It's hot melt glued using this, my home built hot melt glue gun. These are the glue sticks for it. When the gasifier is working, this muffler system reaches 660 degrees Fahrenheit, 350 Celsius. So this little device ought to be quite happy in there. In the next part of the video, I'll show this in its assembled state. Oh, love you too, sweetie. I know you want to protect me from food. There you go, girl. Alright, where was I? Oh yeah. What I've done is I've welded a nut that sort of fits with the thread on this. It doesn't quite fit, but it screws in, even though the pitch of the thread is wildly out of alignment. But to stop this from falling out or becoming leaky, I put in a couple of studs here and a plate that retains the sensor from behind, and with a couple of nuts on each stud that ought to lock it in place so it doesn't fall off. What I'm hoping to do quite soon is put this back on the gasifier and see whether this meter can give me an indication of the mixture that the engine is running on. As if I can set it up properly, the voltage coming from the wire should be an indication of whether I advance or retard the air control valve in order to maintain a mixture within a certain range. So this is all unknown territory for me. It's the first time I've even seen one of these things. So I doesn't know whether it'll even work. I asked Donkey, but she don't seem to know neither. Hey sweetie. Okie donkey. The assembly is complete. My high-tech muffler system is reattached to the engine and out to the fuel dryer. Down here, I'm thinking I want to add this. It's one of those old army cases. At least it looks like one. That's going to become a toolbox. I figure I could actually build it into this trolley So as the tools for this machine come with it. That way if I need to do some fixing, I just pop this little puppy open and do some fixing. Or get some yum yums for my ass. Hey sweetie. A little thing of interest. Since I put this new engine on, I've never been able to start it like I could with the old one. With the original, I could start on the first pull usually, from wood gas only. So to get around the problem, I've installed a cheat system. There's a cheat valve that you open part of the way when you go to start the engine, and what it does is it sucks vapour through this hose. In this coffee can, to wake the engine up, I've got a little puddle of petrol about that deep. Sometimes I put gasoline in there, but I found petrol better. This pipe here lets air in, and it goes all the way to the bottom so as to bubble. Blah, 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 blah. This pipe here sits just a little bit below this lid here, so when I pull the rope on the engine, it pulls the vapour through. What this lets me do is it lets me quickly start the engine, and then that pulls the wood gas through and gets the whole system up and running. Since I last showed you this, I've gone and changed a few things around. These cyclones are now attached to the cooling tower, so you've got your primary or secondary and the tertiary cyclone. Here's the flare port that used to be mounted over here. It was all wibbly wobbly. I've gone and fixed that, and I found that this little tube with holes in it renders this pretty insensitive to the wind. So when the flare's coming out of here, this little puppy protects it. I've got a sparkleberry coil here, and that's going to have a sparklet bulb going over to here to ignite that. And I'm making up a computer that will spark this off, but instead of sparking when the saints go marching in, like this one does, smell the ozone there. When the switch is in its up position, it will trigger another one that sings Auld Lang Syne. Partway through programming the computer on that, but that's just a little fun thing to play with. So if I set things up proper like, so I open this about one turn on the air controlium, and I have this around about half a turn open, very precise as you can see. I pull the rope, just maybe. Cool. It goes. So that instant start is something I'm used to on the old system, but it's just unavailable on this, unfortunately. But that little cheat system I've got there, that makes it all right. The little puddle of petrol in there lasts me about 2 weeks. It doesn't use it all up, but what it does is it gets weaker and weaker with each start until I just have to throw away what's left. So the next test is to connect the spaghetti up to the battery down there and to my test meter over here. Measures Rontgens, so I can actually check radiation too. Now, of course, wish me good luck, because I have no idea if this is going to even work. It could be that I've gone and wasted me a whole mess of time trying to get this thing set up. But I figure it's worth it for the learning experience alone. Fingers crossed for success. Sorry about that. My asses tend to go off at the most inopportune times. Alrighty. I've got the meter wired up using the best of third world standard wiring here. The heater on the sensor is activated, connected up to the battery wire. Okie dokie. So let's push the rope or pull push button. We have a reading. I don't know what kind of sensor this is. Is it a wide band or a narrow band one? I don't know. Alright, so it seems to work with petrol or gasoline. The next test really is to try it on tree fumes. Okie dokie, back in the wattage cottage, taking the Gas-O-Gen through its startup process. Let's see what colour flame we've got down here in the unfiltered flare. Bluey orangey. The whole system's dead cold at the moment, so that should get more betterer in time. Got some shakers here. Manual shaker, this one shakes the hopper. Works very well too. This one shakes the grate. That one don't work quite so well, it's a little bit blockhead. Alright, we've got an orange flare there now. When it turns green, I think it's ready to take out of the oven. I've got 80 hours on the new engine so far. That seems to be running quite nicely. Nothing expensive has happened yet, so fingers crossed. It will be good for at least 1,000 hours. I do need to finish a few things off though. I've been using this battery charger plugged into that generator to top up the battery. But over here I'm going to put a rectifier and a heat sink and a regulator to keep the battery topped up. That way the unit will be more self-contained. Just one more little thing to do. Primary flare has had 5 minutes of run time. Now to engage the secondary flare. Right there is the test port for the filtered gas. If all goes well, once the gas comes through, I should get me a pretty little blue flame. But it takes a while for that to actually get happening. Alright, I've got me a flame here. So you can sort of see it there. It's about 300 millimeters, or to use modern measurement that you whippersnappers, you young guys like to use, about 12 inches. So we're getting ready to put some starting on this here engine. Well, it takes a little while, but I managed to wean it off dinosaur squeezings. onto tree fuel. Yay! Okie dokie. Yesterday I had this meter at ground level and I didn't realise it, but the camera wasn't seeing it. So I've got it up here for now. And it's wired up using high quality third weld wiring standards to the oxygen sensor. So what I'm hoping to be able to do is show how this meter responds to mixture changes. When the mixture is rich, the meter rises. When the mixture is lean, the meter returns to zero. So in the video, when the engine is started and running, we'll be able to see that effect. Okie dokie, let's have a look at what that meter does in response to mixture, eh? Let's see what it does when I load it up. When I plug in a 1000 watt load, the mixture goes rich. Seems to like to run best just as I go out of the wet region, if that makes sense. Take the load off. Make the mixture rich again. Run like this, but I think it wastes trees. So it seems to be best to run it just at the point the meter goes down to zero. The engine goes faster when I do that. So let's plug in the 1000 watt load again. Sure enough, the engine picks up on it. Well, that's rather cool. What that meter tells me now is which way to turn the air control valve for correct mixture. That's generating 1000 watts for the house right now, so I can keep my beer cool. and have the lights on. What it seems to mean also is that I can't get that meter to go to about half scale. It's either full up or full down. But it seems that it likes to work best with a meter at the bottom of the scale. So I've got some thinking to do about how to make that automatic. See what happens when I shake it up, see if it makes any difference. That didn't do anything. What happens if I shake the brake? No, that didn't do much either. Very slight change. My conclusion is that the O2 meter experiment has been a success. All I need to do now is to find or decide on a way to make good use of the information it's providing me. So, what I think I'm going to do with this, instead of having that meter voltage turning this back and forth and wearing it out, I think the best thing to do is have this at some optimal figure and then have a valve, open, close, open, close, open, close, so that adds or subtracts air from this. So this becomes the fine tuning, so to speak, and the valve that opens and closes adds and subtracts 10% in response to this meter. And what I'll have is the computer that manages this will try to aim for half time open, half time closed, half time open, half time closed, and then simply make fine adjustments to this in order to maintain that status quo. That's what I think I want to do. But like all things with us wood gas bug bite victims, ideas start one way and end up evolving in a completely different direction. Still though, what I've got here is a very worthwhile improvement. That little oxygen sensor down there will allow me now to devise a system that lets me know which way to turn this, and perhaps also how far to turn it. That allows me to go one step closer to having this thing completely automagic. As I have to admit, the novelty of wandering out here every 15 minutes to give it a kick in the guts to keep it going, it's kind of wearing off. On the subject of automation, of which I'm a great fan, I've been building this little thing. There's a radio controller receiver here, a little antenna, and here's a little computer I've been building. It has two push buttons, and those activate the shakers at the end where the gasifier is. The LEDs and this 16 position rotary switch tell the computer how many minutes to put between successive shakes on those, and if I want to inject other inputs to it by remote, I can push these buttons. This has a range of about 100 to 200-ish feet. This will be placed where that switch is, so that has to come on out of there, and with 1.5 hands, let me just get that into place. That will be positioned about there, so up against the cooling tower, right next to these fans, this little thing will be placed, and that bundle of spaghetti will be just kind of tied up in random ways until it works. Now maybe I should be a bit more scientific about it. But that will be rigged into the wiring for this, into the electrical system, and around to these shakers. My next few days maybe will be designing a computer that will auto-magicate this, that will rotate this and operate a valve to allow the whole thing to become automatical. Plus also I want to figure out about the heater current on this. Do I keep the current on all the time, or do I have a switching system based on the voltage coming out of this? So maybe when it gets beyond a certain peak level, it activates a cut-off, so the current for that is on, off too. I don't know. At the moment it's still on, it's drawing about an amp out of the battery, so I've got to be sure to disengage that when I'm done with the gasifier today. And because the weather's not so nice today, I have no choice but to burn a whole bunch of treacle. This actually runs on unleaded treacle for best environmental health. Okie dokie, boys and girls. I'm getting a bit rambly here, and it could be because I've inhaled too much wood gas or something. But all in all, I'm absolutely delighted with the results of my experiments to date. Cheers and beers, canary ears.